got my guitar, I've got my wine. Where we can go, live by the sea, swim in the ocean.
Right, come into the barrel cellar and we'll have a little taste.
Oh,
So that's the one.
There she is,
So-
folks. There she is.
We decided we'd show you a 92 vintage because you can actually buy this at the cellar door now. We have it as a museum release, the 92 vintage, but it gives you an idea of a 20-year-old wine. And this is about the time that the Hill of Grace should be drunk.
I agree with you.
Oh,
This is exactly about the time it should be drunk.
right this minute.
And what was the first
So
vintage you
we've
did of
decanted
Grace?
this for you. The first vintage was 1958. I've got a couple of older bottles in my cellar from the early 50s.
Oh, you shouldn't have opened them.
That aren't labelled. They aren't labelled, but they were given to me by my uncle, and they are from that vineyard. So, cheers.
Cheers.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephen.
Cheers,
Cheers, Johan.
A German car and a camera gets you a long way in the Gloucester/Eden Valley.
So when you're smelling the Hill of Grace, I mean, this is made from those seriously old vines. You saw them.
Yeah.
They're like old sculptures and they're old vines.
Oh, they're beautiful.
They're just amazing. And when you stand there and you think of that history, and here you are smelling and tasting the wine from such old vines. I mean, they were planted by my direct descendant 5 generations ago.
Yeah.
And so it's taken that long to get to this wine. It's extraordinary, isn't it? If we showed you the young wine, you'd see a bright crimson wine with lots of blackberries and anise and pepper and all those sort of lovely 5-spice characters that Hill of Grace has. As a older wine now, 20 years old, showing what it should be showing as a mature Shiraz. Some hints of leather and earth.
Some leather
Yeah.
And
cigar.
almost, exactly, cigar boxy flavours, a little bit of truffle.
Still getting
really
a fair bit
complex.
of anise spice
You do,
in there
yeah.
coming in.
Bit of that 5-spice.
It's just
Yeah,
so
so-
smooth. And I guess this is a
Just-
tragedy to open this kind of thing early. It's so smooth and yet just stops your conversation, stops your thought, and for that 20, 30 and on, still intense flavour experience in your mouth. It commands your attention. It's
And that's really what old wine is all about. It's the complexity, the structure, the texture, those velvety tannins, and the flavours that just roll on and roll on. So if we had the time to sit down over lunch or dinner and just watch the wine evolve, you'd see a huge change from when we open it to when we finish the last drops of the bottle. And you're just seeing pages turn because the old vines have got so much complexity. There's just a story line happening every second as you go back for your next mouthful.
How long is it in that kind of peak period for? Because it tastes like it's in its perfect time frame. Because it's not going to that older
just
stuff.
coming
But
there, yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, so how long's that in that pocket?
I think that's part of the mystery of wine is that
You'd never
so
know.
often see drink this wine in 2012. A wine like this, if we said drink it in say
2035.
but it's going to have a huge window.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And as long as the cork, and that's why we changed the screw cap because the cork often lets you down. But as long as the closure keeps the wine in good condition, it's going to keep on evolving. And this wine could be in this sort of plateau of beautiful development flavours for the next 10, 20 years.
So in fact, with the Hill of Grace, I mean, it's so iconic now, but what got it there? Was there a moment in time or a particular vintage or an occasion that really got it towards the place that it has now?
That's a really interesting philosophical question because I think a vineyard like this, it's a combination of really interesting things. It's a combination of the region, the soils and the climate, obviously, and this particular Shiraz that was selected out of France, way back in the 1850s or whatever, brought across here, planted, And so you have these original vines on their own original roots at low yields and lovely concentration. Interesting thing with old vines is when you compare it to the young vines, and that's just sort of a comparison, and it's a bit like the father and son comparison, you know, it's this youthful vigour that the young vines have got.
Stevens in the background.
The maturity of the old vines gives them balance. And I can say that now. But the maturity of the old vines gives them balance, and what it does, you get amazing balance in maturity figures. So the sugars, the flavours, colours, balanced with the acidity and the pH to get the perfect sort of balance in the wine is perfect in these wines. They don't need any adjustment. You pick the grapes, you make the wine. It just makes a totally natural wine. And we run the vineyards biodynamically and organically as well.
Well, they've had some practice, haven't they?
Yeah, well, the young vines, they've got that sort of youthful exuberance. They're in a hurry, they want to enjoy the world.
They need boundaries,
so,
do they?
So, no
Message
care,
to Johan
no cares,
coming
no
clear
worries. We can do it. But the wines are gorgeous. They're juicy. They show all the really lovely bright fruit, but they don't quite have the same pH and acid balance with the fruit. Maturity figures. And it takes a few years to settle down. But after 20 years, they're starting to settle down. And,
He still loves you, son.
Starting to settle down then? Not what we've heard.
Yeah. We'll cut that.
Humans and grapevines are really quite similar in the way they behave. It is a special vineyard. It really is a unique site. But I guess what created the fame of it was that it had a beautiful name. It was very small production of it, and people, were telling their friends, "I bought this really interesting bottle of red wine, and it tasted really so beautiful," and so the people started collecting it. And
So right from the beginning,
right from the early days. So before my father knew it, suddenly this wine was in bigger demand than he could make. And then, when Prue and I came along, basically we've taken it to the world because the world became a smaller place. We travelled, studied overseas, and now we're selling some in America and some in England and some in other countries around the world. And suddenly it's got the world price because the marketplace has grown from a little domestic market in Australia now to a worldwide market. So that's why it's no longer quite as affordable as it used to be.
I remember with great regret the transition from $150, $160 to
I think I remember
$500,
$80
$600.
somewhere. Maybe when I was a kid.
It's a crying shame for us, not for you.
Well, but when I came back from Germany, and our price list still had the wine for less than $5 a bottle on it. And that was about that would have been the late 60s kilograms. So it gives you an idea, it's changed. But it has to, because it is really such a special, unique wine. It's one of the icons of this country. And
it's a unique story in Australian wine, isn't it? It's a single vineyard, 150.
size of a postage stamp for the whole world.
So, do you have if we prune? Have you got any work we could do? How long do you reckon we'd have to stay and put in some hard yards to earn ourselves a bottle of the 92?
We can probably take on a few extra people in our pruning gang, can't we?
Yeah, we've got some pretty cold mornings for you. If you
How many mornings? How many bottles?
It'll be a couple of nights in the combi van, I can tell you that.
Are you interested in the trade? Find 74 German automobile, sleeps 3, a box of
That's your story, at least.
Yeah, we can go. Live by the sea. Swim in the ocean.
Can I pour you another drop?
No, look, I can't. No, get me. I'm gonna go, Steve.
Another drop. We're settling in. What time are we picking? Come on.